The first fingers of dawn clawed over the horizon, painting the eastern sky in hues of burnt orange and blood red. A cold wind whipped across the training grounds, carrying with it the scent of pine needles and damp earth. The air, already frigid, felt even colder against the sweat-damp skin of the soldiers already assembled. They stood in formation, a silent and imposing presence amidst the pre-dawn gloom. These were no ordinary soldiers. These were the Onyx Guards, an elite unit forged in the crucible of countless operations. Their faces, mostly obscured by camouflage paint and the shadows of their helmets, held a stoic determination. Each man and woman understood the gravity of their duty. They were the shield, the silent guardians, the first and last line of defense. This morning, like countless others before it, marked the beginning of another grueling day of training. For the Onyx Guards, there were no rest days, no weekends, no holidays. The world they knew was a dangerous place, and their skills needed to be razor-sharp at all times. Theirs was a life of constant preparation, a dedication to being ready for any threat at any moment. The silence was shattered by a sharp bark. Sergeant Miller, a grizzled veteran with eyes that seemed to have witnessed every conflict of the past 2 decades, addressed his troops. His voice, though devoid of any emotion, conveyed the weight of their responsibility. Today he began, his words cutting through the cold air. "We train like we fight, and we fight to win." The training grounds sprawled out before them, an intimidating expanse of obstacles designed to push the soldiers to their absolute limits. The gauntlet, as it was aptly named, was a testament to the unforgiving nature of their work. It was a place where physical strength was tested, mental fortitude was broken and rebuilt, and the bonds of brotherhood were forged in sweat and shared hardship. The first obstacle was a towering wall of logs, slick with morning dew. Without hesitation, the soldiers swarmed the wall, their movements fluid and practiced. They pulled themselves up and over, relying on each other for support when needed. There was no room for individual glory here, only the collective strength of the unit. Next came the mud pit, a treacherous expanse of thick, clinging muck that threatened to swallow them whole. The soldiers low-crawled through the mire, the stench of decay filling their nostrils. Every movement was an exercise in controlled exertion, a battle against the urge to simply give up and succumb to the suffocating embrace of the mud. The gauntlet was relentless, each obstacle designed to test a different aspect of their skills. There were rope climbs, tire flips, and a seemingly endless barbed wire crawl. Through it all, the soldiers pushed themselves, their bodies screaming in protest, their minds focused on the task at hand. Away from the grueling physicality of the gauntlet, nestled within the heart of the training facility, lay the command center. It was a hive of activity, a stark contrast to the raw exertion taking place just outside. Here, banks of monitors glowed with real-time data feeds, their screens flickering with maps, schematics, and live footage from the training grounds. Technicians hunched over consoles, their fingers dancing across keyboards, monitoring every aspect of the training exercise. Data streamed in, analyzed in an instant and transformed into actionable intelligence. This wasn't just about pushing the soldiers to their physical limits. It was about testing their strategic minds, their ability to adapt and overcome in a rapidly changing environment. At the heart of the command center stood Captain Evans, the architect of the day's training scenario. He watched the live feeds with a keen eye, his expression unreadable. Evans was known for his meticulous planning and his uncanny ability to anticipate his opponent's moves. Today's exercise was no different. He had crafted a scenario that was as realistic as it was unforgiving, designed to test the Onyx Guards to their very core. A low hum permeated the command center, the sound of technology working at its peak. The air crackled with tension, a tangible reminder of the stakes involved. Every decision made here, every piece of intel relayed to the soldiers in the field, could mean the difference between success and failure. One of the most innovative tools at the Onyx Guards' disposal was their augmented reality goggles. These goggles, sleek and lightweight, were seamlessly integrated with the command center, providing the soldiers with real-time tactical information overlaid onto their vision. As Lance Corporal Ramirez navigated a simulated urban environment, his goggles provided him with a wealth of data. Building blueprints shimmered into view. highlighting potential enemy positions and structural weaknesses. Distances to targets were calculated instantly, and possible lines of fire appeared as glowing vectors. The augmented reality wasn't just about providing information. It was about enhancing the training itself. The command center could introduce unexpected elements into the scenario, forcing the soldiers to adapt on the fly. Enemy patrols could materialize out of thin air, simulated explosions could rock the buildings, and civilian casualties could appear, adding a layer of moral complexity to the exercise. Ramirez, his senses flooded with data, took a knee behind a crumbling wall, his rifle raised. Through his goggles, he could see the heat signatures of 2 enemy combatants moving through the building across the street. He whispered coordinates to his squad, his voice calm and steady despite the adrenaline surging through his veins. Section 5. Bonds forged in fire. The true strength of the Onyx Guards, however, lay not just in their physical prowess or their technological advancements, but in the unbreakable bond that united them. They were more than just comrades. They were brothers and sisters in arms, bound together by shared experiences and a deep understanding of the sacrifices they were all willing to make. During a brief lull in the training, as the soldiers gathered around a makeshift fire pit, the conversation flowed easily. They joked, they reminisced about past missions, and they shared stories from home. These moments of levity, rare as they were, served as a vital reminder of their humanity, a counterbalance to the harsh realities of their profession. Sergeant Miller, his usually gruff exterior softened by the flickering firelight, listened intently as Private Jones, the youngest member of the squad, spoke about his newborn daughter. He had seen countless young recruits pass through the ranks over the years, each with their own hopes and dreams. It was his responsibility, he knew, to ensure they returned home physically and mentally intact. As the laughter died down and the fire began to dwindle, a sense of purpose settled over the group. They knew that the camaraderie they shared was more than just a source of comfort. It was a force multiplier, a crucial element in their ability to function as a cohesive and effective unit. Section 6. Ghosts and Shadows. The urban combat training facility was a masterpiece of simulated chaos. Buildings, scarred and pockmarked, loomed like skeletal giants, casting long shadows that danced ominously in the artificial moonlight. The air was thick with the smell of cordite and the unsettling silence that often descended before a firefight. The Onyx Guards moved like phantoms through the desolate streets, their movements fluid and silent. They communicated with hand signals and hushed whispers, their eyes constantly scanning their surroundings, alert for any sign of movement. The enemy, they knew, could be anywhere, lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. The objective of the exercise was to infiltrate a mock embassy, extract a high-value target, and escape undetected. It was a complex operation requiring precision timing and flawless execution. Any mistake, no matter how small, could have disastrous consequences. As the soldiers crept closer to their objective, the tension ratcheted up a notch. They could hear the faint sound of voices coming from inside the embassy, their words muffled but unmistakable. The enemy was close. Section 7. Steel nerves, steady hands. Inside the embassy, the air was thick with tension. The target, a man identified only as the diplomat, was being held in a heavily guarded room on the top floor. The Onyx Guards had managed to slip past the outer security perimeter, but the real challenge was only just beginning. Sergeant Miller, his face a mask of concentration, checked his weapon and signaled to his team. They moved with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel, each man knowing his role and executing it flawlessly. Doors were breached, guards were neutralized silently and efficiently, and the team moved ever closer to their target. As they approached the room where the diplomat was being held, they could hear the frantic shouting of voices. The element of surprise, so crucial to their mission, had been compromised. The enemy was alerted to their presence. "Go! Go! Go!" Miller shouted, his voice echoing through the hallway. The team stormed the room, their weapons trained on the hostiles inside. A fierce but brief firefight ensued, the sound of gunfire deafening within the confines of the building. Section 8. The mission always calls. With the immediate threat neutralized, the Onyx Guards secured the diplomat and prepared for extraction. But their ordeal was far from over. The enemy, now aware of the breach, was converging on their position, determined to prevent their escape. The command center relayed this information to the team, their voices urgent in their headsets. "We're pulling you out now. Get to the extraction point. You're outnumbered and outgunned." Moving with a speed born of desperation, the Onyx Guards fought their way through the building, using every ounce of their training and skill to overcome the overwhelming odds stacked against them. They laid down suppressing fire, providing cover for each other as they moved, their every action a testament to their unwavering commitment to the mission and to each other. On the rooftop, under the harsh glare of the approaching helicopter's spotlight, the Onyx Guards made their final stand. The deafening roar of the helicopter's rotors filled the air, providing a deafening soundtrack to the chaos unfolding below. Section 9. Forged in Onyx, ready for anything. As the helicopter lifted off, carrying the Onyx Guards and their rescued asset to safety, the first rays of dawn broke through the darkness. The training exercise was over. They had faced their fears, pushed their limits, and emerged victorious, albeit battered and bruised. But there was no time for celebration, no time for rest. The world, they knew, was a volatile place, and the Onyx Guards were always on call, always ready to face the next threat, no matter how dangerous or unpredictable. Back at the debriefing room, as they stripped off their gear and nursed their wounds, a sense of quiet satisfaction settled over the team. They had proven themselves once again, demonstrating the unwavering spirit and unwavering resolve that had become synonymous with the Onyx Guard name. Sergeant Miller, addressing his team one last time, his voice hoarse but filled with pride, summed up their day. "We train hard so we can fight easy. We fight easy so we can come home. Remember that." Section 10. A new dawn. Awaiting. The sun, now fully risen, cast a warm glow over the training facility. The sounds of the day's exercises faded into the distance, replaced by the quiet hum of readiness that permeated the base. The Onyx Guards, their bodies weary but their spirits unbroken, prepared for the unknown challenges that lay ahead. They were the tip of the spear, the silent guardians, ready to answer the call at a moment's notice. They were the Onyx Guards, and they would not be found wanting.